The vibrant LGBTQ plus community in San Antonio is another facet to our unique culture. This Pride Month, I sit down and talk with some leaders and influencers in our city who are staying true to themselves and living authentic lives. In this interview, I talk with Natalie and Tracey Jones Gamez about Natalie's reign as the first out Fiesta Royal, being the voice of her father's law firm, and raising a family, the struggles they overcame, and their advice to those who are trying to find their way. Natalie, Tracey, thank you for joining us. And Natalie, your wife Tracey, when did y'all meet?
So we met, almost 12 years ago now. Tracey was coaching here at a school in town, and I was doing a PR promotional interview for the insurance I was involved in at the time. And months later, we kind of reconnected, as everybody does, through social media.
What was it like coming out to your parents?
It was challenging. It was, we look at it like a dark time in our lives, but I think it was the beginning, a rebirth in a way. So my parents have come a long ways. People look to my parents and they say, wow, how do you do that? You just are so accepting, unconditional love. And although they've always had that for me, they've gone through a process to get to where they are today. Mm-hmm. So it was challenging. It was scary. The unknown. Would I still be loved? Would I still be accepted? But I just knew that I no longer wanted to live in the shadows. That closet was no fun. I wanted to come out.
Yeah. Well, and you know what I think a lot about when it comes to parents and their disappointment, it's not disappointment in who you are. It's just that they're afraid of the challenges that you're going to face out in society. And I think that's what a lot of parents are afraid of. And what was it like for you, Tracey?
Well, I grew up in an extremely conservative small town in Arkansas, and I visited San Antonio, and I just fell in love, and I had to get out. I needed to spread my wings, and I knew I wouldn't be able to do that close to home. So I moved to San Antonio, and I was able to be who I wanted to be, and explore who I was without being under the umbrella of like, who's going to see you, or who, what does everybody think? So it was very freeing. I moved to San Antonio in 2003. So I've been here quite some time now.
And then the one thing that I really loved, Natalie, is I read in an Express News article that you had mentioned when you became Reina Linda 2023, which was a lot of fun. You and I, we did some things together, which was great fun. But you told the Raphael organization, hey, look, I am going to be who I am. I'm not going to hide anything, because you wanted to be your authentic self. What was that like, talking to them about that?
I just remember jumping at the opportunity. I'd always gone to Fiesta, and to be a part of it now, Reina Linda, absolutely. But then there was a moment where I thought, well, but are they going to expect me to be a certain way, present myself a certain way? And so we had an honest conversation, and I just told them I am who I am, and I want to be my authentic, genuine self, and they were very supportive of that. I think they saw the bigger picture, which was to give back, raise more money for scholarships, because that's what it's all about. So I had a great experience, and a lot of folks came to me afterwards and said, like, thank you for sharing your story. It's not always easy to talk openly about this, because so many of us in our community, we're okay with living with who we want to be with our friends. But then once we get outside of our bubble, that's challenging. And so it was then that it was a very, Tracey mentioned it, freeing experience, because for me, it was like the whole world knew. And there was no longer any moments where I just wasn't going to be completely out and open and share that with everybody.
And one thing that I didn't see it and I didn't hear it, but once you did tell them, hey, I'm going to be my authentic self, and then I heard your speech when you were crowned, a lot of people came to you and said, oh my gosh, that was so beautiful. What did you say in that speech?
I remember it was about diversity, it was about inclusion. Excuse me, that we're Black, we're white, we're Hispanic, we're gay, we're straight, we're transgender. We are from this melting pot, but we come together for a greater cause. And folks just came to me afterwards and like, wow, thank you. My son is gay, and I gotta be honest, I haven't been the nicest to him. Thank you for sharing your story. And sometimes we look at it from our end as part of the LGBTQ community, but also it's our parents, our loved ones who they need that support too, to say like, hey, you know what? I also have a family member. I also have a loved one that I love and I want to be in their lives and love them unconditionally. I see you doing that for your loved one. Makes it easier for me to do that too. So that was my experience in that speech. And I'm so grateful to Larry Kurth, as the king and the royal consort, Abby Kurth, to hand me the mic and say, as queen, we want to hear from you.
That's beautiful. Yeah, I heard a lot of people really love that speech. So Tracey, what was it like being part of Fiesta entourage, royalty entourage that year? That must have been fun, because I remember we all did some things together as well, some pieces for the station, and it looked like you were having a good time.
Oh, it was great. It was great. I'm typically a little more reserved and behind the scenes. So, you know, kind of being thrust to the front, if you will, but still behind. You know, it was a little nerve-wracking at times. But you know, when you just live your authentic self, and you lay your head down at night and you just feel good about what you're doing, because, you know, you're living your own life, right? So it was really exciting to be able to experience some of those things that I didn't know existed in Fiesta, but being able to do it, you know, just being out and open and being in the public with no shadows or no shame. It was very freeing experience, for sure.
One of the reasons why I wanted to sit down and talk to the both of you is, Natalie, your father, obviously prominent here in San Antonio. And one of the important things about your father and your mother is they're giving back to the community. And I understand you're helping them with that. Is that correct?
Yes, from the Fiesta experience came, of course, Gamez Law Fights. We've been fighting for many years, but Gamez Law Cares was born from that year, 2023. And we had conversations, children, with our parents, like, you need to share with the community what you're doing. My mom and dad were hesitant because they didn't want it to come off as if maybe they're bragging, but we said, you're helping so many people, but what if you encourage somebody or motivate somebody to give back as well? And so, I can't say that we were the first to give back, especially in the legal field, but I will tell you that since then, I just happen to notice that more attorneys are coming out and giving back. And that's what we want to see, because our success, our blessings are nothing if we can't share that with others.
So you are studying to be a lawyer.
Yes.
So should we expect Joe Gamez to turn into Natalie Gamez Law Firm?
Yes. Well, I'm really excited. I'm starting my 3rd year of law school, so I'm almost there, and then the bar. But yes, we're a family-run business. My mom works there. She's been the manager for 35, almost 40 years now. My brother's very involved. He's a PR marketing guru. So we're definitely going to keep the Gamez Law Firm going. So I'm really excited to one day be a part of that.
And Tracey, what do you do? Are you part of the law firm?
Well, David, what do I not do? That might be a better question. We've got 2 young little boys. And,
yes.
There's a lot happening there. And, with Natalie being in law school, I've had to put on a few different hats that would typically not be my normal role, if you will. I'm the let's wrestle and let's get dirty, and I've had to be a little more nurturing at times when sometimes that was a little unnatural. But it's been a great experience. It has definitely brought us closer together. Because you really do have to rely on each other. It is a very lonely road unless you've got a village of people supporting you. And so, fortunately, we do have a lot of hands on deck. So it's not just me. But we're keeping the ship afloat, and we're setting sail, and we're going to make it.
I love it. Well, let's talk about your two boys. Yeah. How old are they?
Lux is 6 and Nix is 4.
Oh, yes, you do have your hands full, don't
Yes.
you? And being a gay family in San Antonio, which is Latin, and they can be very traditional, what has that experience been like for y'all?
We've seen it change over the years, and it's only become more of an accepting city Truly, we don't face any type of, I don't necessarily think that we face any type of negative criticism.
That's great.
At times we get looks, but I think they're more focused on how cool Tracey's hair is than anything. But it's been, Latinos, we've got your back, as much as a culture, sometimes we can be a little bit critical. We have each other's backs. And so we've really received just a lot of love and support here in this community because we are a melting pot. We are a very diverse community. So that's been my experience. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, it can be difficult at times. But I think when you keep your focus on the positive and you keep your focus on what you're doing and what you're teaching your children, I think it stays positive. It's really easy to think about what is someone thinking or hang on to what you heard someone say. That could be a very easily trap to fall into. But I feel like for us, we just stay really focused on our family values, and we learn through the adversity. There's going to be adversity throughout life. You're never going to just walk through life and not ever trip. And so whenever we get hung up or, something comes up, we just face it. And it just is what it is. And you move on. You don't hang on to it. That's one thing that I've definitely learned.
Because if you hang on to it, it can fester and become rotten. But family can bring people together. From what I understand, your family being very conservative, when your first son was born, was it? They kind of are coming into the fold. Is that right, Tracey?
Yes. It was like I mentioned before, it was not a very supportive community where I came from. And there was no hate. You just didn't feel there was no support. Yeah. But they have come a million miles. And when we announced that we were having our first child, it was like all the cares and all the concerns and the worries just went out the window. Not to say that they're not still there, but they definitely love Natalie. Probably more than me. And we have a great relationship. We travel 3 or 4 times a year there. They come here, and so it's just been a great blossoming experience, at least for me, to know where I was at 30 years ago compared to where I'm at now with them. It really, truly is. It shows you what love and compassion and patience and respect can get you.
That's so beautiful. Let's talk about the current overall political climate that seems to be going on. I feel like some in our community feel that there's things being threatened as far as marriage, equality. I mean, what's going on with the military now? They're kicking out transgender people from the military. What are y'all thoughts on that?
I remember one time somebody told me, she was pretty close to us, and just very tongue-in-cheek said, I'm okay with y'all. Y'all are fine. It's just it's the transgender people. And I told her, listen, honey, it's LGBTQ plus. Like, we are a community. So hate on somebody in our community is hate on me. But like Tracey said, having patience, a lot of times it's education. And like you mentioned, fear. What will other people think? So at times, some people are concerned that if they support transgender people, what will somebody think of them that's close to them? But I just encourage people to open their hearts and understand that people just want to live their life authentically and be happy. What makes you happy? I want to live my life happily. And I hope that other people wish that for everybody. So that's one thing that kind of stood out to me, was that even within our own community, we can face criticism or have criticism towards each other, but we really are one community. We got to remember that.
And what would you say to someone who's listening to this interview and they are part of the LGBTQ plus community? They're having a really hard time, whether it be family or accepting themselves or having that hate within themselves. because, you know, a lot of us, we can hate on ourselves sometimes. We can really be harder on ourselves than sometimes our family. What would you say to those people?
Well, for me, what really works is just really taking a good hard look in the mirror and just thinking about who I am and what I stand for, not necessarily what my actions are or who I choose to love, but who am I as a person? And there's a lot of value in that when you just look down into the deepest part of your soul. And I think that's where that love will start to grow, is when you let go of the outside voices. Those outside voices may be there letting you know, maybe you should step away from those folks. I know that might be a tough, and I can say that because I lived it. I had to get some space from some of those voices. So that for me is what I needed to do. Everybody has a different journey and a different experience, but it's just following your heart.
And I think Tracey's really taught me that over the years, is to care less what other people think about me. And I don't know who first said it, but she tells me, like, what other people think of you is none of your business. And I think that resonates, especially being part of this community, because if we're constantly looking around thinking like, oh, I think they're talking about us, what are they saying? Then we're not going to live our lives authentically.
So what's in the future for you two?
What's in the future? So we just celebrated our 11th year anniversary together. So hopefully another 60 years together. But, you know, we have our kids. We just want to spend as much time with them as possible and enjoy these younger years, although they can be challenging. And we want to make a difference in the community. I think
you're on your way, Natalie,
well,
especially
you.
with your dad's law firm and the way that y'all give back. I think that's a beautiful thing, because you don't hear a lot about that. And and future attorney, Natalie Gamez?
Yeah, absolutely. That's in the works. But just want to make an impact in the community, share our stories. There's vulnerability, or there's power in vulnerability. So we want to talk about not just the good things that are happening, but our failures that have brought us to our success. We just want to help others who are in our same position.
Tracey?
Well, for me in the future is going to be lots of support. You know, like I'd mentioned earlier, is I'm not the front runner to be on the stage with a mic.
Although she's great in front of the mic.
But I feel like, you know, for Natalie to be successful and to fulfill many of her dreams, there has to be a supporting cast. And again, it's the village that is that. It's not just me, but it's those that are surrounding her. So of course they support me, which helps me support her. But you know, we're just going to do it together. Whatever comes across, we'll handle it.
Thank y'all so much for taking the time, sitting down with us, and we really, really appreciate it.
Thank you for your time. We're really excited to be chosen for this. Yeah, thank you. You got.
Uh-oh.
Hey, it's not Fiesta. Oh. Wait, it's not Pride.
What
unless we have a little bit of fun. Are you ready? Let's do it. Yeah! Hey, happy Pride, David.
Happy Pride. Oh my God, I love it. What a best way. This is probably the best ending to an interview, I have to say.
Hey, we have to
I
drop
love
with
it.
the big.
Yes, Natalie, you always deliver. I love it.
Happy Pride, David.